Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is D, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Life Lessons card of the Mirror. And when this card came up and I was thinking about it, my first thoughts is looking at it from a different perspective, right? It immediately drew me back to yesterday's card of the Ten of Stones and home. A lot of people will look at the perspective of their home from the outside looking in, right? And this perspective is from the inside looking out. And it's a reminder that when you're on your spiritual path, all right, here you can look in the mirror, which, she's got close to her body and she's not paying attention to. But if you look in the mirror, you see yourself. But if you look past the mirror and into your own eyes, you see somebody that's totally different, somebody that's growing and walking on their spiritual path. And the perspective that you're focusing on is you're focusing on yourself. Now, one of the other things that, that came to mind on this card is, in the boat, I don't know if you can see it, there's a body. Now, it doesn't show whether it's going forward or backwards. Okay. Actually, it's tethered to a log or something like that. So it's not going anywhere. Now, in the mythical world, most of the time, there are guardians to help those that have moved on move to the spirit world. And that's what this heron represents. This is the king of vessels that's in this card, the heron. And, he's with this serpentine figure to help this person move on. Now, here's where the perspective gets different, okay? The perspective of those that are, let's say it's a mother or father or a grandfather or a grandmother that as you came home from carrying those bows the other day with that 10 of bows responsibility, maybe you've got maybe you've got a heavy heart because somebody has moved on, right? And ritual has said, let's put them in this watery, boat and send them over to the island here. The perspective is, somebody has passed on, and you look at it and say, that's not a good thing. I wish, my mom and dad were still here, or grandma and grandpa are still here, or aunt and uncle, right? Because I didn't get to say, what I needed to say to them. But the other perspective is they're moving on to a different life, right? They're leaving an old life here in the physical realm and beginning a new life in the spiritual realm. And that's what that celebration of life, is supposed to be all about. We keep the memories alive within ourselves, all right? And when they're on the other side, they're actually watching over you. Okay, so, the perspective here of looking in that mirror, okay, or, seeing this other person is, oh, woe is me. I'm going to miss them. When the perspective should be very happy. They're not in the physical. They're in a new body. They're on their way to the other side. And this heron is a guardian of transporting those souls to the other side. And, we can look at this life lessons card of the mirror and say, I can always look at different perspectives in my life on my spiritual journey of what's going well and what's going bad, right? You could be going through situations that are overwhelming. And when you get through it, you can look back at it and say, wow, that was a different perspective. I didn't expect that, right? And it's just how you look at it. Everything, when it happens in the moment, it's up close and personal. But as you distance it from, for a bit, whether that's an old breakup, whether it's a career change, right? And you look yourself, I'm better for this. Reflection, is another term that comes up. when I think about this card. When you can reflect on where you've been, it shows you where you're going to go on your spiritual path, moving forward. As you move towards, other challenges, other obstacles, other joys, other successes, right? Knowing that the court cards as well as the life lessons cards are there to guide you in spirit and through the universe. Now, she's also holding up that globe, all right? And, I don't want to say that it's kind of like a magical, a magic ball or something like that, where she, can look at it, but she's not really looking into it. Her eyes are closed. She's drawing on the energy, scrying on that energy to help that soul move on. And when you can take that different perspective, when you're looking out from your home, when you can take that different perspective of looking out from yourself and kind of scry, in your own little way with maybe your own little magical ball, use your third eye. Meditate. Use your third eye and kind of see that different perspective on what life would be like if you took this path or took that path. Talk to the right people about, situations in your relationship, all right? And let's say a significant other. Look at it from their point of view versus always trying to give your point of view out, right? Well, what are they really trying to say? Understanding what it's like to be on the other side. And when you can encompass that within your spiritual path, okay, you become more prudent. You become more understanding. You gain some knowledge of what that different perspective is going like. It's not necessarily that you're walking in their shoes, but you listen to what they have to say. And you understand because you've got the knowledge of what they're saying. And when you first even when you first get into a new job, you may not understand all the processes that are in there in that new job, what your duty is. But then as you start to assimilate to the workplace and assimilate to your department, oh, that's the reason why they're doing the things they're doing. And you may see the cracks and the holes within that process where you can fill in, all right, and take an outsider's view and look inside, as well as understand, well, these guys have been living in this kettle, for all these years and don't know any better. And it's kind of like that, that frog in the hot water thing. If you put a frog in hot water, they're going to immediately jump out. But if you put them in the water and then turn it on, they'll assimilate to the temperature. And they won't jump out. They'll stay there. So this is, on your spiritual path, you're going to have opportunities and challenges where you feel like you're the frog in the water and the temperature's on. You're not going to want to leave because there's that security, there's that comfort, right? Until it's like, oh gosh, I'm either going to be in the water and get fried or, I need to make a decision. When you understand that perspective of what others are going through, that helps you grow on your spiritual path. That helps you understand the nature of how people are. And you can use that knowledge and wisdom to help them grow, as well as to, help yourself grow. To say, you know what? I don't want to ever get that way. Now, the other thought that comes to mind is as we get older in our physical bodies, yes, we start feeling aches and pains and things of that nature. But as we get older, we start looking at our own longevity. And we start to, we start making plans on what happens when when it's time for us to move to the other side. We do that within. We do that within our own context of, the accounting piece of it. But you also need to have those conversations with your loved ones to say, hey, this is what's going on in my life. There's going to be, yes, you've witnessed your grandmothers and your grandfathers, your great-grandmothers and great-grandmothers, fathers moving on. It's going to come to a time where it's going to be your mother and I are moving on. Your closest aunt, whatever, is going to be moving on. Because as we get up in there in age, different health concerns start taking an issue. And you just need to be more involved and have opportunities to have those conversations with people. So they understand that, when you start seeing these signs of, a lot of doctor's appointments, or, hey, I got the C word or something like that. Take that into perspective. If you're a younger person seeing that in an older person, what they're going through, understand. Because vitality is as good as your physical body. And once the physical body breaks down, the spiritual body starts taking over, starts preparing you for that journey across the water, starts preparing you for that other world. So that's, a little bit of a reflective message today out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the Mirror. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share with others, give me a thumbs up. And this is D for Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, everybody.